Hey guys, welcome to today's chat show. Today it's a really important video. Actually, I've been wanting to do this for a while, and joining me today is Dave. I'm down here at Alcoholics Anonymous, which is in Skaew Beach, just off of Soy 9 on 2nd Road. And it's a video that I really wanted to make because at the end of the day, I made a video not so long back about depression. And when I spoke about depression, of course, linking with depression is alcohol. And from alcohol, you then go on to other problems which are related to alcoholism. And Dave's very kindly going to share his experience and talk us through. So while we're doing this, you may wonder why you're not seeing Dave. I'm respecting his anonymity and he's not going to be on camera. What Bo will do now, she's going to put overlays across the video and just showcase the city while I talk to Dave. Dave, thank you very much indeed for sparing the time to come and do this for me. I much appreciate it.
My pleasure.
In terms of Alcoholics Anonymous, which is where we are now, I mean, could you share your journey? I mean, how you got into the situation? And I know you've been clean for a long, long time, which is amazing, fantastic, respect for that. I mean, how was your journey?
It's been great. I haven't had a drink in 22 years.
Wow.
And it took me a while to get to day one, actually. And I've only been in Thailand for a few years now, but I found AA here, and it really actually took my growth in sobriety to a whole new level, because there are a lot of retired guys that are here from various places in the world. About half of them are American, and then they're Brits, Australians, Irish, and other Europeans as well that come to the meetings regularly. Most of them are retired guys that got sober before they came here, and many of them haven't had a drink in decades. This morning we had a meeting here in this room, and there was only about 15 people, but half of them actually had continuous sobriety of over 30 years.
Wow. So, I mean, coming here to Pattaya, obviously, there are thousands of bars everywhere. Alcohol is very readily available. I mean, being in the AA, I mean, what do you see as like the issues that people face when they come in, and how do you address saying, do you know what, hands up, I'm an alcoholic? I mean, where does that come from? How do you get to that level?
That's a big question, or a lump of them. I mean, I would say I couldn't stop drinking until I was ready, and I wasn't ready until I got really painfully honest about some of the issues in my life. And in AA, we call it rigorous honesty. Nothing really seems to move forward until we admit that we're alcoholics.
Yeah.
So the first, we have 12 steps, which is kind of like a spiritual framework for living that when people embrace, not only are they able to stop drinking, but also live free of the compulsion to drink and even the desire. So that was a really, really huge transformation for me, but involved in that was just a multi-layered voyage of understanding that started when I put the plug in the jug. And also, by the way, I had a problem with drugs too, which is in this day and age pretty common that they go hand in hand. But certainly Alcoholics Anonymous's primary purpose is to help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety while we do stay sober ourselves.
So when you were drinking, at what stage did you say to yourself, actually, I'm dependent on alcohol, I'm an alcoholic? Because one of the things I think people tend to not want to do is actually admit they're an alcoholic, because it's the alcoholics seem to be like, oh no, you're like not part of society, you're an alcoholic, all those other horrible things that people sort of think and say. But the reality is, we're all human beings, we all do different pathways. At what stage did you say to yourself, I am an alcoholic, and actually admit it?
Well, I think that I've heard it in meetings that there are 3 stages of drinking: fun and trouble, and then trouble.
Right.
And it seems like when you get to the trouble phase, most of us are always wanting to make it fun again, or make drinking less harmful than it has actually become. But a careful look at the pattern in my life, and it happens with many other people, is that it was a progressive disease that got worse over time. And another really important thing to respond to something that you mentioned earlier is that alcoholism really is a disease. It's not a moral issue. They actually have a diagnostic code at least in American medicine now, for alcoholism and chemical dependency. So once you look at it that way, there's a lot less judgment around it. In terms of my own personal voyage, I guess I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's like one of those cliches that we throw around. And, I realized that every day when I picked up that first drink, I wanted things to be different than the day before, but they never were.
Right.
And, the other thing that I wanted to add is that for the longest time, I really felt like, my lifestyle was just out of hand. I was just partying too much. It was my job's fault, my girlfriend's fault. If you had a boss like two, you'd drink two, or, I couldn't stand to be around some of the people in my family. So I kind of externalized a lot of the motivations for drinking. But actually, it's just something wrong with me, that I had. Like the AA literature is really, really useful, and there are some links to AA resources that are going to be in the description of this video.
Yes, they will, yeah.
And I would say that, the one way that they describe alcoholism in our book is that they say that it's a physical allergy with a peculiar mental twist. So the physical allergy is that once I start, I can't stop. And the peculiar mental twist is that I never really seem to understand that when I do start, it's going to be the same as it always was. That every single time, I pick up a drink, I'll either go into a blackout or wind up, in a fight or hanging out with somebody that I don't want to be with, or arrested, or in an institution. All kinds of really, really bad stuff can happen as a result of picking up that first drink. And most of us, we get here thinking that it's not time to quit, but we want to come to AA to learn to drink like a gentleman. And and that was certainly true for me in my early experiences in coming to meetings, or actually even being sent to rehab because I got in trouble, is that I thought that I just kind of needed to take a break, and I needed to sort of chill out and kind of get dry for a while. And then once I was sort of like detoxed and got away from it, then I'd be cool. But every single time I kind of like wound up in the same pattern, which was just sort of going downhill fast. And, a lot of us lose everything. Most people who come to AA, we don't get here on a winning streak. We get here because we're losing spouses, jobs, in auto accidents, sometimes even killing people as a drunk driver. I know people that have, gotten in accidents that resulted in fatalities, and that was sort of like their aha experience, where they had a moment of clarity, where they connected their powerlessness over alcohol to the unmanageability of their lives.
Because as well, you mentioned about what happens when you're under the influence of alcohol. Sadly, I know two people that took their own life. And, to be at that low point in your life where you think there is no other alternative, there is no other doorway you can walk through in order to try and, gain some kind of sense in what's going on around your world, to end your life, it's just absolutely, it's just can't imagine what goes through people's minds. You're in great control now. 22 years, which is fantastic. It really is. And that even more so, I think, because you're here in this city, and you are surrounded by probably more bars per square kilometer than probably anywhere else in the world. In terms of temptation and discipline, how do you adjust that? How do you keep yourself on that very straight and clear pathway?
Well, we have a daily program for living in AA that when we practice this seemingly unrelated routine, then the stresses of everyday life are reduced to the point where they're not so much of a big issue. And I would just sort of reiterate that it's more like the kind of problem that I would have with a girlfriend, or with, just dealing with aspects of everyday life that's more likely to cause me to pick up another drink than it is walking, down the liquor aisle. I make a wrong turn in the supermarket, and all of a sudden I'm, looking the bottle of Jack Daniels in the face. It may not be the drink, it might be the bar girl, that gets me in that temptation, or what do I do when I find out my girlfriend's lying to me? Or, like I got a buddy who comes here who, was in a relationship with a Thai woman, and then she, they built a house together, and he paid for everything. And then she said, okay, buddy, we're done.
Yeah.
Off you go. And, those kind of stories are not uncommon here in Pattaya. And so it's dealing with with life on life's terms that we learn to do in AA, where we can squarely meet our problems and match calamity with serenity in a way that kind of like nips these things in the butt, so we don't take them to the point where they result in a compulsion to drink. So it's dealing with these emotional issues before they become, so big that they get the better of us.
I think as well, like people that come out here to live, because every day here is a Saturday night. So, back home when I was in England, I'd go out once a week with my mates. Mm-hmm. Out here, you can go out every single night, and it's exactly the same experience as if you were going to go out on your Saturday night back home.
Right.
And of course, then, once you start to do this as a repetition, it then keeps going and keeps going. And suddenly, I know people that are dependent now because that Saturday night feeling every day became a necessity. I can't stay in tonight. I've got to go out. I've got to go and drink.
Right.
In terms of advice for people that feel they may be in that situation, what would be your advice to say to guys that are thinking, well, maybe, just maybe, I might be on that brink of possible alcoholism?
One of the links in our description is a survey.
Yeah.
So Alcoholics Anonymous put up a self-survey of 12 questions.
Okay.
You can answer those and then decide. The other thing is that we have what we call in AA open meetings and closed meetings. Closed meetings are for alcoholics only that usually have already made that decision that they have a drinking problem and they want to do something about it. For people that are still, that are just curious, you can come to our meeting any day of the week at 9 a.m. here at Skaew Beach. Or we also have a John Chen meeting at noon every day for people that are down there or just want to check out something different. Both of those are open meetings, 7 days a week, 2 options, where you can go and just see if you identify with anything that's being said.
Is there like a typical stereotype of person that's an alcoholic, or is it open to everybody?
Well, I think that there's stereotypes, but they might not necessarily hold true. So basically we say, we're men and women who've lost our ability to control our drinking. And that's something that we have to admit. That doesn't, really happen right away, as I said earlier. But I think that when I was young, before I got this, I thought, an alcoholic was like, a really scruffy old man with a long London fog overcoat, just looking to get drunk and then expose himself or something, just like really, really weird. But, there are a lot of super successful alcoholics.
Yeah.
That maybe don't ever lose everything, but they're in emotional turmoil. So, and that's what causes them to quit drinking, or they don't quit drinking, and then they may die of cirrhosis of the liver, kidney complications, diabetes. One thing that when you're talking about depression, which is your video depression, inspired me to contact you because you said that you wanted to come by here maybe and check it out. There are things that people wouldn't necessarily attribute to their drinking that wind up getting the better of them. As I said earlier, perhaps it's an auto accident, or it can be a suicide, if it goes all the way to the end. But also, it can be domestic violence. There's so many things that people wouldn't necessarily attribute to their drinking. So and the story kind of unravels after we've been here for a little while. So
it's funny you touched on the fact that your vision of an alcoholic was an old man in an overcoat, just dossing around on the streets. And I think in many ways that's what is one of the biggest problems, admitting that you might have an alcohol problem, because you're then going to be associated as, oh, you're that kind of person. And I won't mention their names, but you mentioned before when we spoke about some very, very successful people that are part of the AA group. And, it's incredible when you're speaking to me about those people, because they are in a very different world to the guy in the overcoat sleeping on the floor. So, like you say, I mean, it does catch anybody and everybody. It's not something that and like with depression, when I spoke about depression, I think I worded my video wrong, because I got so many people saying, come to AA, come to AA, because they thought I was an alcoholic, whereas I can pick and choose if I drink or not. I mean, I go home and see my family. I don't touch a drink, doesn't even come into my head. I drink socially in the bar because obviously I'm part of the bar, and that's the nature of the game. But like, I can walk away, I don't even think about alcohol. So, but again, it's that situation where I'm aware that if I continue drinking every single day, then possibly there is that gateway that may open later on in life. I don't know. But it does have another effect on you, like we said about depression. It does change the way you think. In terms of people watching the video now, and there'll be guys out there that might want to relate to this and think, you know what, I need to come down and I need to ask these questions. How would they get in touch with you, and what would you say to them when what to expect with your first meeting? Like, if I walk through the door, because you mentioned this when we spoke about it before. Remember the picture you painted of an AA meeting? They're all in a circle. They're all in the circle, because that's how the films depict it. But in terms of the reality, what's it really like?
It's funny because I was actually looking at the website after we had that discussion, and I saw kind of like a layout of a meeting room that was almost exactly the same. But I was saying that there'd be a circle of chairs in a dimly lit church basement with a naked light bulb hanging from a simple wire, and it kind of reminded me of an old detective movie where they have the similar kind of light fixture, and a person's being interrogated in a way that's uncomfortable and even bordering on, if not torture.
Yeah.
And so, but I think there's a lot of laughter that's very healing in AA meetings, because what happens as a result of going through the 12 steps is that we get to a place where we don't regret the past or wish to shut the door on it. So I might talk about something that in my past, like, for example, I survived a suicide attempt when I was in my early 20s.
Right.
And, I was taken to the ER, then a mental hospital, and then sent to drug treatment after, the mental hospital assessed me for 72 hours, which is a thing in the U.S. that they do after every suicide attempt. And they said, this guy's got a drug and alcohol problem. And so they sent me to rehab.
Right.
So those are like kind of like seemingly unrelated things. I think that, to get back to your question, is what I would say to somebody is check out the AA Thailand website.
Yeah.
Find a meeting near you. I think that the Jomtien meeting has a link to a map. And, go there. And then, if you feel like you resonate with this a little bit, we always suggest go to 90 meetings in 90 days and don't drink in between. If you don't like it after 90 days, we'll refund. We say we'll refund your misery. But, maybe a person isn't miserable yet. But, usually if somebody is willing to make that kind of commitment, it's because there's something in their life that they would really rather change.
I think as well, what's important to mention too is that, if you do come to these meetings, remember, you are in a situation where you're going to be speaking to other like-minded people. And of course, then that means that you get the opportunity to make new friends that understand what you're going through. And therefore, then if you say, like, let's go out tomorrow afternoon, instead of saying, let's go down to the pub and let's go and get drunk, and they're saying, well, let's go down, sit on the beach, have a coffee, and, we can talk about whatever. I think that's a massive support system, because if you are coming in here and then you walk out on your own again, well, temptation is everywhere, and then it's down to you as an individual. Whereas, as what I gather from here is like you're more of a community where you support each other. I think that's a really powerful thing.
Absolutely. But, more important, I'm always a step away from a drink. But, I'm a step away from a drunk, but I'm 12 steps away from a drink.
Right.
If I do the 12 steps. So there is certainly camaraderie in the groups and the fellowship, but really we have a program of recovery that is a basis for life-changing transformation, if that's not too redundant. But, most people really change radically after not only from putting down, you know, putting down the bottle or putting the plug in the jug, or not, you know, not picking up a drug anymore, but for then making the changes that are inspired by doing the 12 steps and learning how to do that from somebody that's walked the path previously.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I really can't thank you enough for doing this. It was a video I really wanted to do, guys, and you know, all I can say to you is that if you are resonating with this video, if you are thinking there's some similarities there, you know, all the description links will be down in the video below, so just have a look in the description, scroll down, get in touch, guys. You know, there's no shame about it, there's nothing to worry about. Just get in touch, come here, and, you know, you'll meet Dave and other comrades, and you can then start to think about what your future is if you think you're in a spiral going downwards. So I just want to say thank you very much for that. It was, you know, I really enjoyed this video. I've been wanting to do this video for ages, and I'm glad you know, got in touch. So thank you so much for that. Much appreciated.
Absolutely.
Right, guys, there you go. That's today's video. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. Like I said, I did the depression one recently. I'm going to bring some other, not topics, I don't like calling them topics. I'm going to bring some other videos that are very specific about what I want to get the message across. But if you're watching this video, guys, and you feel the need to reach out, you can reach out to myself via email, 247pattaya@gmail.com, or you can reach out down below. All the descriptions, all the links are there. And please, guys, don't put it off. Do it today, not tomorrow. Do it today and get in touch, guys. You never know, it might just save your life. All right, that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Please, as always, remember to hit the subscribe button and also the bell icon if you'd like to be notified when I bring out a new video. If you're interested in the nightlife scene here, have a look on our Instagram. If you're interested in the daytime scene here, look at our TikTok. And come in and join us in Discord. In Discord, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if there's a way we can link Discord and directly link it back to the AA as well. So if you want to get in there, the only reason I'm hesitant about it is because it's a public link point, so maybe it's not going to work, but I'll see what I can figure out. And that's it. And if you'd like to support the channel, guys, please look at the membership on our YouTube channel, and your support is much appreciated. All right, that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching, guys. And please, as always, wherever you're in the world, stay safe.